Welcome back to the show, everyone. My name's Dylan Grausz. As always, we have Chris Jackson. Now we got a good show. We're going to be talking about the eval, or we're going to be talking about teams like Amador Valley, Clayton Valley, guys like that, and all their teams. So let's get started. The first team that we are going to talk about on today's show is a team that had a pretty good season last year, I believe. They went not a great year in league. They went 0-5, but they went 4-7, had some good dubs. What do you think of them this season coming up?
I think the biggest thing with them, I noticed I was at their practice on Monday. Their senior leadership is really good this year. They've really kind of taken charge. There were moments last year where just one adversity hit, team kind of folded. They just didn't handle it well. I remember the Foothill game. They go up 14-0 quick. They're up 7 points, I think, at halftime, I want to say. And one of their players told me, he was like, you would have thought we lost the game at halftime when we're up 7. So they went into the offseason, this new group of seniors, and said, we're going to get back to what Amador football is. And a lot of us growing up out here, me included, remember Amador was always a good program. They made it to a few championship games. They won the EBL Valley in 2019 over Livermore. Amador's had good teams. They're not far removed from success. It's just in that new side of the league, too, where you've got to play San Ramon Valley, Monte Vista, Clayton Valley, Cal, all those guys. It's a different beast, and they just weren't ready for that league in year one. They had the shortened off season to deal with it, I think, in year two. They're bigger up front this year, too. They've got a lot of size, a lot of talent. I think they're a lot more ready. I think with the way all the teams look, Amador could win a few games in that league this year. Last year, you had a one-score loss to Monte Vista, one-score loss to Clayton Valley. Foothill, weird how that game was put in September because they're not technically in the same league anymore. Weird to see that for crosstown rivals, but that was a one-score loss. So Amador was possession away numerous times, 5 games, 6 games, 7 games. I think with the leadership they have, a healthy quarterback, they look good. They've got a few recruits too. They've got a 6'6" tight end in James Rothstein that's got 5 offers. You got a 6'5" defensive end and Brady Nasser is going to Colorado.
Nasser's good too. He's still there another season. They're gonna be good. And aren't they getting a new quarterback too though? Like are they getting a new one or
yes. So last year the crazy part was EJ Thompson did a great job, but he was not a natural quarterback in that position. He dealt with a lot of injuries there. He was a do-with-their guy, had a good arm, but he was thrust into a tough situation. Now they're healthy. Ryan Cannon's really impressed. I remember when we wrote a story about him, everybody was calling him Mr. Poise. He's really poised. He's got a good arm at practice Monday. He's smart. He anticipates things really well. He reads the defense well. He's got a good arm, good mechanics. I think he's somebody that's going to help the offense take that next step this year.
Yeah, they're good. They're really good. Now let's look at another team that we kind of been talking about a little bit. Clayton Valley. They're another team that we can talk about. I really like them. I've been saying for weeks now that they're going to be a good team. But what do you think in terms of the league that they're in? How do they stack up amongst the guys in their league that they're in now?
I think
they used to be in before.
I think they're the favorite to three-peat. 2 years ago, they won the league. Last year, they won the league. I think they're the favorite. They've got 2 great quarterbacks. Christian Aguilar moved in from Pittsburgh. A family moved from Pittsburgh to Clayton Valley. He started for Pittman and actually beat Clayton Valley in that championship game. He was 21 of 27, I believe, in that game for over 300 yards. He's got good size. He looks like a D1 quarterback, but also next to him is a junior, Mason Lovett, who picked up an offer from Campbell. So their quarterbacks are good. They've got 2 D1 linemen in Manuel Cerna and Richard McKay. They've got a good receiver. You wrote a story on, check that out, on Cody DiMartini. They've got some good running backs. Yeah, Rashawn Woodland graduated over 1,000 yards last year, but Nicholas Kasabi's,
that's the thing.
Yeah, but you've got the quarterbacks though. You've got 2 good quarterbacks coming up. You've got Nicholas Kasabi's a good ball carrier. Micah Avery is a stud in the 24 class. Speedster, great on special teams, running back, everything. So I don't see why Clayton Valley won't win the league again, especially with the way just Nick Tisa and Tim Murphy have worked in harmony as co-head coaches.
Now, with Tim Murphy gone, though, is the scheme going to be a different one, or is it going to be the same scheme as it was before? Like, how do you think?
So here's the thing. So here's the thing
with that, though. That's the thing.
Tim Murphy is still there technically too. He's still a co-head coach with Nick Tisa. Every year, the thing with Murphy is he always says, "This is it. I'm going to retire." So it's kind of like when Kevin Macy says, we're going to take a step back next year. Take that with a grain of salt.
Okay, yeah.
When Murphy says that, I love Murphy, but he's a guy to take that with a grain of salt because you just can't get away from the game. You
So
can't
the
get away from
scheme's
the
going to be
kids.
the same. All right, so that makes sense. But I think on defense though, defense is going to be, I think, a key testament to them because they have size, right? They have size opposed to like other teams in high school sports. So I think like the saying goes, defense it wins championships. So if you have a good defensive front in that on that team and a good set, I think you're going to be fine. But I think if their defense is lackluster, then I think they're going to struggle a bit more. But
The good part is they return a lot of big guys on defense. Their linebacker Miguel Alvarado, 108 tackles last year. He led the team. He's back. Casey Forster, 67 tackles. He's back. Pelege, sophomore year, 60 plus tackles. They got a lot of pieces coming back again too. So like I said a minute ago, I don't see any reason why Clayton Valley doesn't three-peat in this league.
how about another team that we oh so graciously love in this area, De La Salle?
The crazy part is all these
Wow.
teams have to play De La Salle, but De La Salle technically doesn't compete for the league title now, but you got to play them. But De La looks so good. They're De La Salle. I think last year was just an anomaly. It was one of those years where they just didn't win some of those big games. I know things have changed. A lot of more programs are coming up to their level, but their line play, I think De La Salle's got the bread and butter of what makes them great. You got
They
Cooper
were still
Powers.
10-3. I mean,
Yeah,
last year, look,
exactly.
the thing about them that really makes me laugh a lot is you say they didn't have a great year. They were still 10-3. They were still 3-0 in
That's the
eval. Like
funny part. That's the funny
it's
part. I
like at
saw,
this
I
point,
saw,
are we really?
here's the thing though, too. I saw a headline the other day where it said, how does De La Salle regroup from a down year? I'm like, if a down year is only winning your 29th straight NCS title, you're in a great position. I think they know that, but I know they wanted to do more. You've got a TCU coming on the line. You got a Harvard coming on the line. You've got a Fresno State coming at running back. You got a Notre Dame coming at tight end. You got a good quarterback who's got some offers. He's an athlete. You got good defensive backs, linebackers, D linemen. It's De La Salle's strong in its bread and butter positions.
They're really good, and I think with them, it's like they don't. They are the team that you never worry if they're going to be bad. You just wonder how good they're going to be, kind of thing. You're always like, they're going to be good, but how good are they going to be? Never are they going to be good, which I think for any program you want. You never want a program to ever be in the situation where you don't think they can succeed, where that they're going to be a successful team, but you just don't know how successful. And I think with De La Salle, they always put themselves in a position year after after season to be successful. And I think with them, it's just really amazing to me. Again, like I said, it's really impressive to me how good of a position they put themselves in to be successful. And I just love that.
Yeah, it's a De La Salle culture, their off season stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you might think private school, the brotherhood's not going to be there, right? Just because maybe you don't always grow up with everybody, but that's kind of what players have said brings them closer together. You'll have kids coming from Livermore, from Lafayette, from Pittsburgh, Antioch, all these different sectors, and they go through these tough off seasons and conditioning and weight lifts together. They've got that brotherhood thing mastered to a team. There's
Sure.
them programs like them and Sarah do it the best.
Speaking of Livermore, what are your thoughts on that team in the league that they're in, being a school that, kind of in the middle of the pack? They're not great, but they're not bad. I mean, last year, what was their record? I'm going to pull it up now. They were 6-5, which is, not bad. And they went 2-2 in league, but are they really going to be a threat? Are they going to be a force in that league? Like, what's the deal with them?
I like Livermore too. I like their coaching staff, John Wade, because they had Ryan Partridge there for a year. Then he went to Liberty, won a state title. Now he's a D1 receivers coach at UMass, was at Arizona, now at UMass. But you got John Wade's got a culture there. Their football numbers have really gone up. That whole city has. Granada, I think we'll get to them in a second too,
Yeah.
and that side in the EBL Valley. But Livermore's growing up too. Livermore was kind of the laughing stock of the league right now. They're kind of putting together winning seasons. They were so close to winning the league title in that spring season of 2021 when they had Sean Smith at quarterback last year. Short and off season, kind of inexperienced. They dealt with some adversity too throughout that season, especially at the start of the year. That was hard for them, hard for any kid to overcome what they went through. I think this year though, Livermore should be good, and they've got a brand new athletic facility. If you're growing up in Livermore, why wouldn't you want to go there? Is kind of my thought
That's a
process.
motivator too. I think a lot
Right.
of
This
teams,
is
especially when you have a new facility or new locker room or anything, it definitely shows the team how invested the school is in them. And I think
yes.
that's a performance enhancer.
Yeah,
A
I
big
like their
one.
team a lot too. They've got
Yeah,
quarterback
absolutely.
Tyler Trudeau moved from Granada. He's a good lefty quarterback. Anyone that knows the Trudeau legacy, family in the NFL, played in the league, went to Granada. Tyler's now at Livermore. They got a good little line. Ashton Boswell is going to play college football somewhere. Damon Miller's a really rising tight end. Livermore's going to compete in that side of the league. Do they win it? I'm not sure. Foothill still brings back a lot of pieces from a team that won its second straight league title last year. So it's hard to see somebody taking that throne from Foothill. I got to see it to believe it right now. With some, it's kind of like with Clayton Valley. I got to see it to believe it for them to not win league this year, and it's the same with Foothill on that side of the ball.
Now you mentioned Granada. What exactly about them excites you the most?
Okay, so here's the thing about Granada's got a new coaching staff this year. I know they like it a lot. Mark Moses was a great junior varsity head coach there for years, always won games. And their JV team last year, they're bringing up. Let me just read you their stats from JV last year. They got a lot of those guys coming up this year. They were undefeated, outscored opponents 322-20. Granada's JV team did last year, just rolled the competition, undefeated. Heritage 34-0, Castro Valley 42-0, Amador 45-0, San Leandro 47-0. Beat Dublin by 12. Dublin's actually got a really good young class coming up here. Doherty Valley 48-0, Foothill 48-6, Livermore 38-7. You've got a good quarterback in Quinn Boyd coming up. I think he's going to play college football. They have this intriguing 6'6" tight end Thomas Schnapp. I can't wait to see him at their Alkalani's Jamboree on Saturday. I think Granada's going to take a major step up this year. In my estimation, I really do believe that Granada's going to finish second in that side of the league behind Foothill.
But they also had some tough losses too. They got blown out in the playoff, 37-0 to Roner or to Katati. Like, can they compete against teams that are outside their league though necessarily? Like, how's that? I mean, look, if they're
Now
getting and they had that
here's the thing.
35-7 loss to Foothill too, which is another team in their league that they should compete with, and they got blown out by them. So
yeah, I don't think it's hard to see them beating Foothill this year, but I think they will be a lot more competitive. They were inexperienced last year. Just didn't have quite the pieces to succeed this year. I think they do now. Rancho Cotati also had two D1 receivers on the outside, a great team. There was no way they were going to compete with that last year. This year, Granada's going to take a major step up, win 6, 7, 8 games. I think they're going to be the second place team on that side of the league this year.
now let's go to Foothill now. The reason why I say that is because we talked about Granada losing to them 35-7. Is Foothill going to be a team that's going to compete in that league,
Yep.
do you think? Or are they going to be
Yep.
a team that's kind of a flop?
I love what they have. They won 10 games last year. Greg Hobner's got the culture. Great assistants that have been there for a year. Sure, they lose their league MVP, Nick Walsh, a quarterback, but all these other pieces look great. Sure, you lose Brandon Souza, the D1 college football sack state. Kenny Olson's gone. He's playing at San Diego. Connor Perez at Whitworth now. They had a great senior class graduate, but this senior class coming up is great too. Cade Millard, I think he's going to play D1 football. Jake Patterson led the team in tackles at linebacker. He's now a junior. You've got Jackson Chandler's really impressing at
Yeah, they got a
running
good
back.
team.
You've got a good offensive line. Then you've got national prospect Chris Lawson in the 2025 class of receiver, nearly 700 yards last year. Great hands. He's going to play. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up playing in the SEC someday. He's
And let's
that
not
good.
forget, Miller had 9.5 sacks as a junior last year.
Yep.
He's going to break double digits easy this year, I think.
Yes.
And I think that with that going on, he's going to be insane. And then, Lombardi, with him being gone with the interceptions, and then the backfield, I think the defense is going to be good. I think the offense is going to be good too. But I do think, like I've been saying, I'm a believer that with a team that has a new quarterback coming in, there's always a bit of a question mark, because you never know how the quarterbacks are going to mesh with the receivers or know the offense and execute it. But I think that overall as a team, yeah, I think they're going to be a pretty solid team. But I don't think they're going to be, as good as, maybe Monte Vista or De La Salle or schools like that. I do think they're going to be maybe middle of the pack in that sense, possibly.
I think Foothill wins the EBAL Valley for sure. They're gonna win that league with Granada, Livermore, and Dublin and Doherty. I think that's Foothill's gonna win that side of the league, and like I said, Clayton Valley's gonna win its side with the Montevistas, SRVs, Cals, and Amador. But Granada's gonna inch its way closer. I think Livermore's gonna be improved this year too again. Foothill, though, the quarterback situation's tough and it's hard to replace a league MVP, but they've always had a track record of great quarterbacks. Kyle Kearns went to Wake Forest for a while. Sean Manning's in the NFL. The list goes on and on of great quarterbacks. The quarterback they have coming up, Hobner's words to me, he was somebody that you want your daughter to date someday because I think he speaks 3 languages, I want to say.
See, that's just
I
showing
could be
off at that
wrong.
point.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
right. I think
he can be
I
saying
think he
set hut
plays
in 3 different languages, playing,
right. I mean, that's the thing though. Teach your teammates to speak some other language, and your opponents never beat. I think he plays the piano too. They like him, and now if the quarterback plays good at Foothill, I don't see anybody in that side of the league beating them this year.
Now, you brought up NFL. We know the great Zach Ertz went to a school we like to call Monte Vista in Danville, and they're a school that has also a good history of football themselves. So in EBAL, what exactly is the outlook for the Mustangs this year? Because they went 7-3 in 2021. They came in fourth in their side of the league, 2-2. They had some great wins. They also had some losses that were tough. Most notably, they lost to SRV 30-23. They lost to Clayton Valley 34-14. What is a team like Monte Vista going to do for the eval this year?
It's tough to predict that side of the league because so many teams lost such great seniors last year. Clayton Valley returns a lot, but a lot of teams are replacing a lot of starters. What I like about Monte Vista, though, I love their head coach, Johnny Millard. He was Foothill's defensive coordinator last couple of years, won the titles there. Great culture builder. They've got some great pieces coming up. I love their O-line. Riley Penniman's probably the quickest left tackle, most athletic left tackle in Northern California. And Nick Jensen's a good lineman. Got some good quarterbacks. Mateo Congdon's a good 2024 kid. Braden Turner moved over from San Ramon Valley, great quarterback in the 25 class. Running backs are good. Ben Meineke. Julian McMahon is a name to keep an eye on too. Moved in from Moreau Catholic, but transfer rules has to sit out the first half of the season. They've got a great sophomore tight end too. Kellen Ford's going to be a beast, but he moved from San Ramon Valley. He's got to sit out the first few games because of transfer rules, which is one thing Monavis has made clear. If you want to come here, that's cool, but we're not going to finesse the rules. You're going to have to sit out X amount of games and follow those rules, which I can respect.
That.
Yeah,
I respect
definitely.
that.
Which I think the second half of the year is when Monavis is going to be dangerous, which might be right. That's league play at that point, so that can be hard for teams to game plan for because you don't have a lot of film with those guys with them. But Julian McMahon's going to be a 3-4 star running back. I think he's big.
Yeah.
But then you've also got a D1 receiver, Zach Diebener, I believe, is going to have 1,000 yards too. And then their defense, Talon Jones, Eli Price. You've got Caden Honda's a really good defensive back. He's really taking control back there on the back end. I like what Monte Vista has. They could finish anywhere, honestly, from 2 to 5 in that league. So could anyone else, to be honest with you, on that side of the league this year.
Yeah, and with SRV being a team that had a lot of guys transfer over, even though they went 8-4 last year, are they gonna lose some dubs because they lost a lot of guys, or do you think they're gonna still be a good team in that league as well?
No, it's tough because they lost their starting quarterback last year. He's a Contra Costa College. Their best two-way player, Tanner Salisbury, is at UNLV. Jackson Brown's a lineman at Cal. Matt Shapiro, another lineman, is at University of San Diego. Now, the word from SRV is their quarterback, Luke Baker. He's got great family lineage at SRV. 2024 could actually go into Santa Clara for baseball, just committed there for baseball. But the word is he's making great throws. Greg just saw him in practice, said he looked good. They've got some good receivers. Trevor Scott was all league last year. Caleb Madrid's a good defensive back end receiver, shifty, dynamic, all that. They love the receiver or running back, I should say, Sean Williams. Riley Gann got a Lewis and Clark offer last week. He's a good defensive end, tight end. I do think San Ramon Valley is still a team that's going to compete this year and contend for a title. It's hard just to I think, for somebody to beat Clayton Valley this year with what Clayton Valley's got coming back, but I still really do love what San Ramon Valley's got. Sure, that losing the senior class like they had last year is not the easiest thing in the world to replicate, but at least they had a full off season. And when you've got a quarterback like Luke Baker, where the word is everything's going well, that's going to give you a chance, especially with the receivers he's got. And you've got Laird Wheeler's a D1 lineman too blocking for him. So San Ramon Valley should still be really good.
Now, if they're playing Clayton Valley again, are they winning that game this year, do you think?
It's hard. Like I said, I think it's hard for anybody to beat Clayton Valley this year. I love Clayton Valley 1 through 11 on both sides of the football.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that are really tough. That's not good. We got a couple teams left to go over, but between the three teams, I think the team I'm most intrigued to talk about now is Doherty Valley. I really think they're an interesting team. They're a very interesting team. I like them personally, but what about you? What do you think of them?
Yeah, it's tough because I know what people think of Doherty Valley is, right. They're kind of the seller of the e-ball. It's basketball school. You hear that, this and that. They've got some experience coming back up, and they've won in the past, right? It's their
They
newer
had a tough
school,
year
but
last year though. But
I like their quarterback Aditya Ved. He's a 3-year varsity guy, dual threat, 4.6 GPA too. He's got a strong arm. He's quick. Then what have we said about having a good quarterback? That's going to give you a chance. Doherty Valley will be better than last year. It's hard to kind of project where they're going to be, but I do like, especially that quarterback they have. They've got some good senior leadership this year. Dublin, they lose a great senior class, but they've also got some great young talent coming up there. I love what they've got in the 2024, 2025 classes. So I think those two schools are going to surprise some people. So on paper, you think, okay, maybe these programs should take a step back, but Dublin's got some good young talent coming up, and Doherty Valley does as well.
If DV can learn to win against teams in their league, they'll be fine because they went undefeated in non-league games. They actually had some really good dubs. They had a 48-6 win against Vallejo. They beat, Mount Diablo 65-22. But in the league, they got pretty much blown out in every game except for the Granada game. They lost 45-7 against Foothill. They lost 39-6 to Livermore, 55-7 to Dublin. Like, I think that in terms of what they can do out of league, they're great, but it's one of those teams, like, they're good for a high school team, but in terms of the league that they're in, I think they're a little bit outmatched sometimes. But I think that, I don't know, like, how are they matched up in their league itself compared to other teams in that league?
That's tough because they don't have as many football numbers like some other schools. I know Granada's numbers have gone up. Livermore's, right, Foothill's always had some solid numbers. Some of these other schools in the league, Doherty Valley's numbers are just different. Not as many kids are playing football there. That's tough, right? Public school, you're kind of just dealt the hand you're given there with how many kids play youth football coming up all the way to high school. But it also goes to show you how good the East Bay Athletic League is on both sides. That's just one of those things. I remember even when Livermore had its bad years growing up, they would still do really well in non-league, and when they got to league, they struggled. Same with Granada and those schools. It just goes to show you the East Bay Athletic League how good it is, and how well, also check out how well they compete against non-league teams.
Yeah, and another San Ramon team that we actually, is in the same league, of course, is California. Those Grizzlies. What's the fare with them? I mean, their school that's not really talked about. I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of them, so I don't really know about them too much because they're not really a school that's talked about a whole lot. But I do know from what I've heard from that area in the past that area has gotten better. So how does California fare in that league that they're in right now?
It's funny, their last head coach, Eric Belici, was such a pounded up the gut, fullback, running back, tight end sets, all of this, right? 11, 12 personnel right in the middle. Now Danny Calcaño's taken it full on spread air raid attack, and it's worked. Last year, they went to the NCS semifinals, had a great season. Teddy Boris, Jay Calcaño graduated, great quarterback, running back duo. Trevor Runs graduated, but Calcaño is such a great, smart coach. He walks the way he coaches a game, and his terminology, it kind of feels like a college coach at the high school level, the way he calls a game. Cal's a team. I like Aiden Camberg as a quarterback. He's tall. He's got a solid arm. He's a great leader. Going to UC Santa Barbara for baseball next year. Then Devin Love is a running back that I would not be shocked one bit if he runs for at least 1,200 yards this year. He's going to average 100 yards a game easily. He's quick, explosive. He showed a lot of flashes last year. You've got him. You got a great JV team coming back. Coming up, I should say. You've got great talent both sides of the ball. I like what Cal has, and they're another team that could finish anywhere from the top to the bottom, and that side of the EBAL. That's just how hard it is to predict that league this year, but also goes to show you how good those programs are.
The running game
I
for them, though, I mean, I think Elijah Love, he might be, or Devin Love, sorry, might be really good, but Trevor run with his almost 1,300 yards, like that's going to be hard to replace. You have a guy who averaged about 100 yards a game every game of the season, and it's just like, how are you going to replace that? Is Love going to be the answer? Or are they going to have to rely more on a back by committee? Are they going to be more of a passing team? Because a lot of these teams, I realize, if you're a running team, you rely on the running game, right? If you don't have a running game, you have a lot of adjustments to make, and that can be hard. So
That's the great thing about Calcaño's offense is they succeed in both areas. They're really well coached in both areas, really balanced. When you had Trevor Run last year running like that, Teddy Boris throwing the way he did to his receivers, that goes to show you how all around and dynamic their offense is. I think it's going to be the same this year. If anyone's read our stuff this summer, they know we're high on Devin Love and put on the film. Heck, I'll share it again on Twitter tomorrow if I have to. I think he's going to be that good of a running back in this league. He could be a first team all league guy this year.
I mean, that would be great. They have two back-to-back guys that are just absolutely insane, right? In that offense, that's going to be a stud team. Now, switching gears, we have one more team to go over, but they're in a different area. We got Dublin, the Gales, 6-5 in their season, 2-2 in league. They had some great dubs. They had a 55-7 win against Doherty Valley, but they had a couple tough losses too. They lost 24-10 to Foothill. They lost by 1 point to Livermore. They lost, it was tough. So what do you think? How do you think their team is going to fare in 2022?
That senior class they had last year is phenomenal. And look at it too, what their defense last year, what they did to Heritage. Heritage has a D1 committed running back. That was a 21-6 win. And I'm pulling up the box score. Heritage averaged 1.6 yards per carry in that game. Had 66 passing yards, total 55 rushing yards. That defense was phenomenal from TJ Costello was a great two-way guy, unbelievable on offense, fullback, tight end. I mean, anything you put TJ Costello at. His father's also a great basketball coach. I guess it just runs in the family. His brother also plays college baseball at UC San Diego. TJ's a tough loss. KJ Sweeney's a tough loss, a linebacker. The amount of tackles that man made. He had 27, 28 in a game last year. Jaden Petrus was a great running back, 1,000-yard rusher. Gary Capita graduates. They graduated a lot of guys, but I like what they have coming up too. Here's the thing: Dublin, Brandon Black, he's a head coach that's going to be creative with stuff. He runs a lot of different sets. He's going to keep you on your toes. They've got great pieces coming up. They do. If you look at it too, their JV team had some big ones last year. Beat Foothill, right? They tied Amador, beat Heritage, beat Castro Valley, all these different people. And then their freshman class at Dublin, there was last year's and now sophomores. Now this year has a lot of excitement there. That's a great class in all sports. The future is bright at Dublin. It's hard to replicate what they had last year. It's not every year you get senior classes like that, but heck, maybe the senior class shows it this year. Maybe they show us, hey, now it's our turn when they take the reins and learn from last year's senior class. If they show that this year, then Dublin's going to be a contender.
I mean, they did lose a lot of seniors though, but I mean, they are a deep team. They are a very deep, program. So I think they're going to be in good shape with the guys they got coming up. But it is always hard to, replace a lot of talent you lose. If you're a senior and you graduate, it's a lot of talent that you're losing. And you've seen a lot of teams in the past have a lot of guys leave, and then the team's just not the same sometimes. So we'll see. But that is all the teams in EBAL. And at the end of the day, we will see how everything goes. But last thing we should talk about, what do you think is going to be the final standings list from the first team to the last team? Let's go over that. Who do you have finishing at the top in the league this year?
So the EBAL Mountain, I've got a Clayton Valley, San Ramon Valley. I think Callan Monolith's the tie right there, and Amador Valley, though, too, is going to win a couple of games. So to be honest, I think 2 through that bottom spot, I think there's going to be some ties in the spots. I think there could be a tie at 2, and there could be a tie at 4 for that.
That's a good bunch of teams too.
I think I think everybody's going to kind of beat up on each other. Amador is much improved with that talent, that coaching staff. I always say it, Amador runs one of the best practices. Danny Jones just makes it so different. They've got great special teams too. Don't underestimate that. They have a D1 kicker on that team. They're going to get you on some onside kicks. So I'm telling you that right now. Amador Valley is going to surprise some people this year. Miles Tucker is going to burst onto the scene as a receiver, linebacker, athlete type of guy. But that's my predictions on that side. On the EBL Valley, I got it going Foothill, Livermore, Granada, or Foothill, Granada, Livermore, Dublin, Doherty Valley.
Heck yeah. Well, guys, that is all the time we have on tonight's show. Be sure to catch us on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.